Okay, folks, we are back. Another episode of Street to Strategy, episode 49. Big news. Go to iHeartRadio 96.7, 1400 AM of my new radio show. Also, folks, hit the subscribe button. Give me a like. Tell your friends. I am just ecstatic. The podcast is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm getting a bigger audience. People are reaching out to me. They like what the content. I am very humbled and I'm very honored to bring you guys the best that I've got to give. I have a new guest today. Let me give her an introduction. Today, I'm honored to introduce a woman whose life's work has been dedicated to helping people discover something many of us spend a lifetime searching for: our identity, our worth, and our purpose. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, an author, a podcast host, and the founder of Last Arrow Ministries. Born and raised in the Central Valley, her journey has taken her from the world of fitness and entrepreneurship to working with some of the most vulnerable and overlooked members of our community. She founded Genesis House, Tulare County's first licensed runaway and homeless youth shelter, and has dedicated her career to helping individuals navigate trauma, addiction, abuse, abandonment, and shame. Her approach brings together professional psychological training, practical tools, and biblical principles, all centered on the belief that love, acceptance, and belonging can transform lives. She is also the host of the Redeemed Backslider podcast, an accomplished author, and is currently pursuing her PhD in developmental and child psychology. Her journey has brought her to my table. This is a remarkable woman with a powerful mission and an inspiring heart for people. This is Kathy Chastain. Welcome to the show.
Wow, Jay, you made me sound good. Thank you.
Well, you are awesome. You know what I mean? We've known each other forever.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of yours. And, you've always been a big supporter of me and the guys in law enforcement. That means a lot. And I remember when you had your gym down here and, and then I know you worked at the PD way back, but we're going to jump into it. For those meeting you for the first time, take us back to the beginning. What was your childhood like?
I was raised in a two-parent home, which I'm so grateful for. One thing that I say often is we had dinner as a family every night, and that's so valuable to me today. And as a clinician, it's so important for families. But we went to church probably 4 or 5, sometimes 6 nights a week. It seemed our life revolved around church. And so for most of my life, that was all I knew. That's all we did.
Was it here in Visalia?
Here in Visalia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of shifted when I got into high school. But no, I mean, I was everyone's friend, I had lots of great friends at school. I was a little shy, probably a little awkward, but I did have a lot of friends, and I was a little church girl.
Wow.
I wore dresses all the time, and
Okay.
and that's how everyone usually identified me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You were born and raised here. In what ways did this community shape the person that you would become? Because I tell you, I was born and raised in Tulare, and it shaped me big time.
Yeah. Well, Visalia is just been my home, right? I mean, we used to our little neighborhood. My dad was in real estate. Some people from church were builders, so a lot of people in my neighborhood went to church with me. We went to school together. We'd ride quads. There was a little ditch behind our house with water. We were outside. Like I think you said in one of your podcasts that when the streetlight came on, it was time to go home.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we just played in the neighborhood all the time, played outside all the time. And, still today, seeing people that I went to school with, having friends that I've had for 30, 40 years, that's really valuable.
Oh, it's great. Before you got into mental health, I remember that you were in fitness and nutrition. Mm-hmm. And I remember you ran your own gym. What did that journey look like? And what did it teach you about yourself? Because running a business ain't easy. I know that.
I tell you, when I opened up my Max Muscle store, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I think I had $200 in the bank the day we opened. And I had, Kelly Titus or Craig Titus and Kelly Ryan that were going to be there, to promote the store. And I had to pay them like $7,000. I was like, I didn't know where I was going to get that money. But I kind of just learned on my feet. I feel like much of my life, I have just had to learn as I go. And I got into fitness. I'd always worked out, probably not to the degree I did, prior to opening Max Muscle, but I fell in love with it. I loved the way it made me feel, the control I had over my own body, being able to push weights around. I mean, I still love it. It's just, I encourage everybody to do a sport, whether it's karate or lifting weights or running, something that is just for them, because that's a control no one can ever take from you when you can navigate your own physique.
Well said. What first drew you kind of that world of like discipline and transformation and even ambition? I mean, you got to be ambitious to do these types of things.
I think I always just aspired to something. I think early on, I probably couldn't have identified it. Now, I think I wanted to be understood and I wanted to have significance.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
But back then, I was a hard worker. I started working when I was 14. So the minute that I got a hook and I could see I could do something, I was after it 100%. And so Max Muscle, I sort of fell into.
Yeah.
I think all of my steps to just be better, I was always wanting to be better for myself. And so every little new growth path kind of led me to the next one.
I remember when you were running the gym, and then a short time later, I ran into you, and I remember you going, hey, I'm going to become a therapist, right? When did you first get that sense that your life was going to go in that direction? Because that's a big undertaking.
Well, I'm a high school dropout. I actually flunked out of high school, so I never knew that I had the ability or the brains to do that. When my store was closing in 2008, I reached out to a career counselor at Pepperdine University, and they put me through the Myers-Briggs personality profile test. And it nailed me. I mean, I'd already been writing. I was already writing articles for fitness magazines and for some Visalia magazines. So I was already writing. I was already in fitness and nutrition. So I was still counseling people, changing clients every hour, getting to know people's stories, So it was very similar. But when I closed my store, I was with a person and he said to me, "You're the smartest woman I've ever met. You have got to go to school." And I was really intimidated because I hadn't been to school since I flunked out my senior year. I didn't know if I could be smart. I mean, I had no idea that I could be, good at school. And so I just kind of did it like I do everything, white knuckling it, scared. But I signed up for school because I also didn't feel like I had anything else, I had to do something. So if he was going to help me go to school, I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so that journey I was thinking about a career in communication because I'd been in marketing and stuff. But yeah, I started taking psychology classes and it just was a natural fit. And my personality profile said that was one of the things I would be a therapist.
Yeah. There's purpose in helping people, I think. Think about my career. I mean, all the years being a cop, what do? We help people. And, for me to you, I was like you. I barely graduated high school. And look at us here. We're a couple of people with some master's degrees, right? Yeah.
Hey, I'm a firm believer when there's a will, there's a way.
100%.
If we do not resist no, like someone tells me no, I rarely will ever take no.
Yeah.
I will find a way to figure it out.
Love it.
Because I've learned that you can. You know, change is possible for anyone who wants change. And I believe that a person can be anything they want. I could have went a lot of directions in my life. It's just the good Lord who has established me where I'm at now.
Yeah. What was it like to walk away from a successful career and jump into the uncertainty of school and even another career? I'm sure it wasn't all fun and games. I'm sure you've had some rough days. What was that like?
It was I will tell you this, Jay. I went from driving a Mercedes to closing my store, driving a $2,500 little white 4-door Honda, and just tucking my tail between my legs, hoping nobody would recognize me in public, because I was embarrassed, and I was losing my sense of identity that I had built my life around, right? And so I had to form a new one. I had to find myself all over again. And it was, it was bittersweet because it was incredibly difficult. I cried a lot. I still cry a lot, but I cried a lot. But I think pain is the best motivator.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no one that was going to save me. If I didn't figure out some place for my direction for my life to go, there's no one that was going to rescue me.
It's funny you say that. The whole time I was a cop, I used to have to tell people all the time, nobody's coming to save you.
They're not.
Right?
They're really not.
And I used to say this, be the hero of your own life.
Yep.
And when you look back at your early life, what do you think were the things that were quietly preparing you for the success that you have now? Because you are. I mean, you're a successful therapist. You're an author. You run a podcast. Me and you, we're alike in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of work. But what was the foundation of that? Was your dad, did he instill that in you? Is that self-taught? Where did that come from?
I think survival.
Okay.
My dad said yes to me a lot. I remember when I wanted a car. I was not 16 yet. I was already working. But I found this little convertible Fiat X19 that I wanted, and it was not very expensive. I negotiated my way to get that with my dad. They got the loan. I paid the bills, and I think I've always been a thinker. I'm always a problem solver. I've always, like I said, there was no one that was going to do it for me. We went to church. That was it. So I had to figure out ways to make myself happy, ways to, talk to people, ways to get a date, which sounds silly, but, I had to figure things out.
Oh, yeah.
And I always wanted to know why. I was a question asker. And my last relationship really hated that about me because I just needed to understand things. I like to know how things worked. I like to know where someone's coming from. I needed to know why things were happening. Yeah. And I think that really helped. That was a big catalyst for motivation.
What's like the number one thing that kind of pushed you towards that licensed marriage and family therapist road? Because that's a steep road. I mean, you got to get your bachelor's, then you got to get your master's, then you got to do your clinical hours, then you got, It ain't easy. But what was the number one thing that kind of pushed you in that direction?
You know what, Jay? It's going to sound so simple, but when I got my very first A at COS, my first A, I was hooked.
Okay.
Because I knew that if I could get an A, I knew I could get all A's. So I just set out. I took as many classes as I could. My goal was to get A's in all my classes, and I graduated with a really good GPA. But that's huge for me because I'm learning for the first time at 41 years old that I could get an A.
You know what? Our paths are so similar. I graduated high school with like a 2.0 GPA, but I got my bachelor's and my master's both with a 3.9.
Yeah,
because guess what? When you really go all in, and you know this, to graduate either one of those programs, you got to go all in. You got to eat, sleep, live, breathe it. There's really, you can't half step.
Right.
And
I love it. I mean, being a student now, I love it. I'm a geek when it comes to books.
I love it.
When it comes to article, I'm just a geek. I could sit in my room for days and just read and research and, because I like to know why.
Yeah. As an intern, you worked with women that were leaving prison.
Yeah.
What do those women teach you about pain, resilience, and the possibility of second chances?
Man, I loved those women. We're very blessed,
yes.
you and I. I had one girl in there whose uncle or dad, I think it was her dad, raped her, had 4 or 5 kids with her, set her on fire.
Yeah.
And she went to prison. And anyways, I was specifically working with PTSD cases, and we were doing some research in that. But what I found about those girls is they all had good hearts.
Yeah.
Tough exteriors, but every one of them was kind and respectful. They knew what they believed. They knew what they thought. I don't know how much hope they had.
You know what?
But they were good inside, which is what I always look for, was good.
Yeah. I
Even
will say this.
innocent in some ways.
I have a bold statement, and this is that, and this is hard to say, but there's some truth to it. A lot of the people we dealt with in law enforcement were battling sexual assault.
Yeah.
And
it's so prevalent.
Yes, it is. It's
so
more
prevalent.
than what I think the average person thinks. And you could see that this has taken people and destroyed lives, and it's pushed people into addiction and prostitution and horrible relationships. And I know you volunteered at juvenile hall, right? When you looked in the eyes of those young people, what did you see that the other people maybe couldn't see?
Those girls just wanted to know that someone cared.
Yeah.
They all wanted to know that
said.
someone cared. I got to baptize 4 girls there. No one, juvenile hall never allowed anyone in there before to baptize any of those kids. And they just wanted to know someone cared. And they would push me. They would test me with behaviors to see if I was going to react, to see if I was going to be rude to them, to see if I was going to just call them out. I never did. I could just see, they're just checking me to see if I really care about them.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
I was trying to plant seeds for themselves, that they could take with them when they got out. And some of them have got out and done well, and they still stay in touch today.
Love it. Why do you think society's most vulnerable people always get reduced to a label? I've seen that so many times. It's just like, I think I've often said this, set the lofty goals for yourself. But I think a lot of these people in those vulnerable positions, they just think, I can't do it. They're but have you seen that where people get reduced to these labels? I've seen it so many times.
In their own mind or by society?
Yeah. I think a little bit of both, but really in their own minds too. Yeah.
Well, I was that. I mean, I was really a late bloomer, and it took one person, Bruce McDermott. He's the catalyst for me. Spoke into my life and saw something beyond what I was able to see, because I was just fitting everyone else's idea of me because I didn't have my own idea of self.
Yeah, Bruce, I tell you, was such a sweet man. When you're working alongside like high risk and system involved people, what do you think the hidden wounds of trauma leave behind? Because I've seen what it does to people. Yeah.
It's so sad, especially for kids. The hidden wounds, ultimately, I think their whole identity gets fractured. If I'm probably going to say that a million times on this.
But well said, though.
It's identity, their sense of worth, their sense of value. And when people don't have any sense of worth, they're going to stay with the guy that beats them up.
Yeah.
They're going to destroy themselves because they don't think they deserve anything less or anything more, rather.
Yeah. I've seen the pain of people's childhood kind of echo throughout their lives, right? Why do you think there's just people that just never get over that trauma of that childhood thing that happened? Either sexual assault, even physical assault, abandonment, whatever it is. I've seen it happen so many times where you just look at these people, you talk to them, and you realize, I don't think these people are ever going to overcome this. Why do you think that is?
Well, if I had to give one answer, I would say it'd be unforgiveness. I think when we can forgive and release the people that abuse us, we can have a life. And it doesn't mean that forgiveness doesn't mean restoration, but you have to release. You have to release the perpetrator of all of that so that you can regain control of your own self and your own life. So ultimately, I think blame. They never stop blaming someone else for their problem. They never take responsibility for their own life, and they don't forgive. And unforgiveness is poison.
Oh, it is. It's so destructive. It is destructive.
The other piece is it gives them identity. So that's what they know. That's how they identify, and that becomes ultimately who they are.
What do you think the greatest misconceptions are about people that battle either addiction or incarceration? Because I think that there is a stigma that comes with those two things.
Yeah. Well, most of the research says, if not all of the research says, that addiction is a direct byproduct of trauma. I have a book that's about this thick called The Globalization of Addiction. And the whole premise is that love is the answer. And, drilling down even more at the root, this is one of the classes that I took at a personality disorder class. At the root of all personality disorder classes is an abandonment wound or a rejection wound, children 0 to 5. So when we look at incarceration, that's just woundedness. That's just how someone is acting out to try to overcompensate for their wounds. I think addiction is the same way. If people could take a big step back and take their eyes off the behavior and look for where the pain is, we could help a lot more people.
I totally agree. When someone believes that they're broken beyond repair, and I've seen that.
Never.
I know, but I've seen that, and I know you have too, right? Where does the journey towards healing begin?
I think we have to kind of disrupt that paradigm that they live in. If we can show them one little ounce of something good, that they've been able to accomplish or they've been able to do, setting little small goals of accomplishment. There's a saying, when people do good, they feel good.
Yeah.
And so over time, in little slow increment steps, a person can begin to change their opinion of themselves. They can begin to start seeing, you know what, they said I could do this. Maybe I really can do this. Because like I said, my first day, the minute I got an A, I was hooked, because now I have proof that maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same for those people too. They just have not had any proof that they could change.
Yeah. I remember when you founded Genesis House, and that was a licensed runaway and homeless shelter. What moved you to start that?
One of the girls in juvenile hall.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And why did it ultimately close its doors? Because I remember when it closed, even I thought, because, I'd worked with kids for so many years, I remember thinking, what a bummer that it couldn't sustain.
Yeah. Ultimately, it came down to finances. When we really just saw the need, found the house like literally within 2 days, bought the house, and just hit the ground running. We kind of came up from nowhere. We didn't go through all of the the regular steps to get county approved. We got licensed with the state.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I had to go through the county.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning as I go. So I had no clue to any of this. They said we wouldn't be able to do it because insurance would be too expensive. Well, I got the insurance. They said licensing is going to take forever. Well, we got licensed,
Yeah.
So the next step was the county, and the county said, no, we're not going to fund you.
Yeah.
We raised a lot of money. I mean, we had wonderful, wonderful community support. We raised a lot of money that we needed to get the house in compliance and all of that stuff. But ultimately, we didn't have payroll to pay.
Got it. Here's something about young people I've often asked. Why do you believe vulnerable young people, why do they always feel abandoned and unwanted? Because I've seen that so many times working with kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to know kids very well working at the high schools. And when we would break it down to brass tacks, a lot of it came from that feeling of unwantedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it comes from home.
Yeah.
Secure families raise secure kids, and I think maybe yours and I's generation is maybe the last generation of 2-parent homes, Christian values. I know there's lots of great families that don't go to church, but that was a generation where there was some sort of fear of the Lord. People took their kids to church on Sundays. They had family days on Sunday. Homes were just different then. And so kids are alone a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think kids are alone. Sometimes there's an absent parent. Most of the time there's
latchkey kids.
There's so they're alone, and there's nobody to validate them or to listen to them or to ask what they need or ask what they like. Simple things.
How important is something so simple as having a safe space to sleep? How important is that for kids?
Everything. It's everything.
I agree.
It's a safety is, in the hierarchy of needs pyramid, safety is the very bottom. Food, shelter, and safety. Like, that's our most basic need.
Yeah.
So if there's no safe place for kids, I mean, it's everything. They're going to be in a state of hyperarousal all the time in survival.
Yeah. I know you worked a lot with like homeless and runaway kids.
Mm-hmm.
Did it change the way that you looked at like family and community?
No, not in a negative way.
Okay.
I don't think working at the PD definitely jaded me to a degree.
Oh yeah. Because we see a lot of times we see the worst of society.
Yeah. But no, actually it just, the community was so good, around all of that. I found that there's a lot of people that are willing to help, that want to help, just don't know what to do. But the kids themselves, it's just very sad stories. Kids living at the river in Porterville.
Oh yeah.
Parents on drugs, like they just found themselves with the wrong other kids, the wrong influences. I mean, there's so much that goes into all of that, but most kids are good. If anything, Jay, it has restored my sense in humanity, ironically, that people inherently are good, but we do not know how to act in that. We bury that, we hide that, and we mask up. We put on all this armor to show that we're something different than truly what is actually in a person's heart.
Yeah. Without compromising somebody's confidentiality, can you give me an example of somebody where nobody's life should be written off too soon?
Yeah, I have a good one. I had this kiddo who came in with mom and flat out said he wanted to kill his family. I was really sitting there thinking, okay, do I need to report this? Going through all the steps in my head, but just, no conscience, didn't care, was just so done with everything, and just really thought they wanted to kill their family. The only reason that they were coming to therapy was because they had their goal set on this certain car they wanted to get when they turned 18. And they knew that if they did kill their family, that they were going to be in prison. So because they had a desire to have this certain car, didn't do it. And anyways, this kid's life totally turned around. And totally turned around, doing good today.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, not that I'm a great therapist, but I think my Christian bend, I'm looking for the good in somebody instead of just what they report and what their behavior is. Because if he would have been reported or something else, there was no immediate threat. Thank goodness I stayed within my ethical bounds. But that could have went sideways so many different ways because someone else could have been afraid of that. And there's lots of those cases where, gosh, what someone is saying is super dangerous and you just don't know. You just don't know. You just have to make a judgment call.
Yeah. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor. Let me tell you about someone who isn't just working in real estate. He's redefining what it means to serve. Chase Taylor is not your typical agent. His journey began in 2005 in the heart of California's Central Valley, where he built his business on a simple but powerful belief. The real estate should be rooted in real value, real effort, and real care for people. Now based in Orange County, he has elevated that vision into something rare. Because with Chase, the relationship doesn't end when the papers are signed. While others hand over the keys and disappear, he shows up. Literally. On closing day, he arrives with a moving crew ready to help carry not just boxes, but the weight of transition. That's not just service, that's commitment you can feel. And now he's coming full circle, expanding back into the Central Valley, bringing the same hands-on approach to the very community where it all began. It's more than business, it's a return to roots, a promise to give back with the same grit and heart that built his name. If you're buying or selling, don't settle for someone who simply opens doors. Choose the agent who walks through them with you, who lifts, carries, and moves with purpose. Call Chase Taylor at 949-702-9106 and tell him that J-Mac sent you. What's the difference between people saying, I did something wrong, versus, is there something wrong with me? Mm-hmm. All right? I mean, I had kids ask me that all the time. Mm-hmm. Officer McWilliams, what's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. Right? And I used to tell people, you're making some poor choices right now, because obviously if they're dealing with the cops, we're dealing with some poor choices, right? But there's a big difference between doing something wrong versus, I think that there's truly at your core, there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm.
It's a difference between guilt and shame.
Yes.
But someone has told them in their life that something's wrong with them, or they haven't had their needs met, and so they believe they're not worthy.
Yeah.
Mostly I think that's what it is.
Yeah, well said. Why is shame such a powerful force?
Because if I believe it, I will act in it every single day of the week. If I believe I'm a bank robber, eventually I'm going to become a bank robber.
Yeah.
If I believe I'm Miss America, I'm going to be working my butt off to make sure I can be Miss America. It's the power of belief.
Yeah. How does shame influence people's decisions? Because I've seen it
every day.
I was going to say, I've seen it so many times, Kathy.
Yeah. I think most of the time shame is going to make someone compromise what they're worth, what their value is, what they could accomplish. They're never going to be able to see themselves as being more than that mental picture that they have.
You know what? Kind of goes right into my next question. I know that trauma becomes so woven in people's stories, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen it where almost people start to believe that it's the most important part of their story. And I think it's negative. How do people combat that? Because that's a hard one.
Yeah. I hate to say you just got to do the work, but you got to do the work. you have to face it. And so many people who don't get past their trauma, they don't want to go back.
Yeah.
They don't want to remember what it felt like. They don't want to relive what it felt like. They just want to block it out and pretend it didn't happen. That's a person that's going to be stuck their whole life.
Yeah, well said. How do you begin separating somebody's identity from being a victim? Because I know a lot of people,
It's great.
they want to be, it almost seems like they want to be that victim forever.
Yeah.
And how do you start to fix that?
You know, as sad as this is going to sound, because a person has to want
Yes.
to be something different. You know, I think if a person can, they may not know how to get there, but if a person doesn't want to be this way anymore, or they want to be more, even if they don't know how to let this part go, then to me, we just start building on who do you want to be? Because I take my clients through an exercise about what do you like about yourself and what don't you like about yourself.
Yeah.
Because if I can't face what I don't like, I'm certainly never going to change what I don't like. And I need to have the list of what I do like about myself to remind me where my value is when the stuff I don't like shows up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well said. And you know what? Here's something that I used to say to the kids. You can't be a prisoner to your past.
No.
You just can't.
But they got to face it.
Even when we talked about addiction, I used to have to tell parents sometimes, you cannot force your kid to get clean.
No.
They have to want to do it.
Yeah.
And you're right. People have to want to get better.
Yeah.
If they're going to go see a therapist, you're there because you recognize you have a problem and you want to get it fixed. If you don't,
And it's fixable.
it is fixable.
Totally fixable.
Can a person truly forgive themselves for the harm that they've done to others or their family or even
Yes.
significant other?
1,000%. But I will say this. I think a lot of forgiveness is also supernatural. I think there's parts that the Lord just takes when we're willing to release it.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've seen people walk through crazy stuff, and it's as if it never happened because the Lord just literally took it. They did all the things they needed to do, but it's just not their identity anymore, and it doesn't rear its ugly head because they did the work.
What would you say to somebody that's listening right now who thinks that their mistakes have disqualified them from love and purpose?
I think everyone was made for a purpose with a purpose, and I don't think there are any mistakes. I think everything can be used for good.
Yeah.
And it's if you quit, you're going to get the results of that.
Yeah.
If you don't quit and you stay in the game, you can be anything you want.
Love
You can overcome.
I love it.
I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't feel like people could change.
Yeah.
I just am not that. I'm a believer that people can change and be whatever they want to be. They just got to want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, nobody's going to give it to you on a silver platter. You're right. If you want it, you got to work for it. And how does like abuse and addiction and even abandonment, how does that change the way people trust others?
Oh, gosh. You know, it ruins it.
Yeah, it does.
But Brene Brown I got certified under her, and she does a lot of stuff around trust. And she has an acronym called BRAVING. And each one of those letters means something different. So she's saying there is a process of learning to trust people, but they need to be able to follow the boundaries that I set. They need to be responsible. They need to be accountable. You know, like we're not just going to give it away willy-nilly. We're going to, you're going to be worthy of trust.
Yeah.
But that means I also need to know myself a little bit too, right?
No, I love it. No, well said. What does genuine healing actually look like?
Freedom.
Wow. Okay. All right. Much of your work centers around identity and worth and even purpose. What are those foundations? Why are they so essential to a healthy and meaningful life?
I think in the absence of knowing yourself, someone can become susceptible to the many voices in the world. And there are many voices. And as we're seeing in the news, there's a lot of demonic voices. People are listening. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who have told me crazy stories about supernatural things happening to them. And, not to go down that rabbit hole, but having a sense of self identity is everything. I mean, I feel like identity is the root of everything. And that speaks to purpose, and that speaks to worth, right? In the absence of identity.
I think this too. I mean, I think that there are movies that people watch that are not good for them. There's music that people listen to that are not good for them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And what happens to people when they actually lose sight of themselves and they start to believe that they're not worth it?
They die.
Yeah.
I mean, suicide, clients that I've had that have come in vacillate between suicidality and homicide ideation, right? They're constantly vacillating between both of those. And, I mean, just in the last week, we've seen two people, one in Monterey drove their car off the cliff, another one hit a tree. And I'm thinking, those are suicides.
Yeah.
They're 100%. Because I've had those kids tell me, oh, I've been driving my car. What if I just drive into this tree? What would happen? Those, I think, are intrusive thoughts. But kids are so susceptible to them because they don't know how to fight against that. So, yeah, I think they die, Jay.
Yeah, I could tell you this.
And that's drastic, but...
It is drastic.
It is. I've been to those suicides.
I have
You
too.
have.
I mean, too.
Sadly, it's too many.
I lost my sister to suicide, and it changed me forever. And, you realize that sometimes we can't help people.
No.
And that's the hardest thing to have to admit. How much of our identity is shaped by the voices that we hear when we're kids? Because I think
it is. It is a shaping.
It's the totally shaping. Yes.
Yes. So I'm gonna just give a plug to take your kids to church because, church reinforces hope. It reinforces the idea that something can be greater. It gives them something positive. It hopefully gives them love.
Yeah.
And whatever church people go to doesn't matter. But man, there's so much voices, and kids are inundated with kids at school. I mean, I can remember being a kindergartner and getting my feelings hurt because I was trying to put my head on the desk and be as quiet as I could to get the little candy from the teacher for sitting still. And I didn't get a candy. And I remember how that made me feel. So you think as in a kindergarten class at age 5 years old, that little wound, that little question, was I not still enough? Why didn't she give me candy? Does she not like me? That's the rest of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot that happens to kids.
For more than 50 years, QK Inc. has been helping shape the future of California. Because great communities are not built by accident, they begin with vision, are strengthened by innovation, and endure through thoughtful planning. From civil engineering and land development to environmental services, water resources, urban design and construction, management, and beyond, QK brings together passionate professionals with one shared purpose: to create smarter, stronger, and more sustainable communities. Serving cities, schools, government agencies, agricultural, healthcare, and industries across California, QK transforms complex challenges into lasting solutions. With offices throughout the state and commitment to collaboration, quality, and innovation, QK isn't simply designing for today, they're helping build a better tomorrow. QK Engineering, smarter, stronger communities. Discover more at qkinc.com and tell them that J-Mac sent you. I've seen failure and addiction and criminality, all that just shape people. Why do those things affect people so deeply? Because there's just something about all three of those things that when I've dealt with people, it just seems like they're never gonna get past it. I don't know why, but why is that?
Well, it's reinforcing the belief that they're bad.
Okay.
So, that thing I said earlier, you do good, you feel good, you do bad, you feel bad. And honest, I'm sorry to talk about the Lord again, but I feel like it's one reason that God hates sin so much is because the minute that we do something like that, we rob a bank, we hit our spouse, we do something that we know is wrong, we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. And that gets used against us all the time. And I think God hates that we beat ourselves up like that.
Yeah. How does someone start to kind of rebuild themselves after years of rejection or even failure?
You just start. You just get up one day and you decide, what are you going to do today that you really need to do? Like, I think we should never underestimate the power of the first step. Taking the first step, whether that is calling someone on the phone and saying sorry, whether that's getting yourself out of bed, at 6 a.m. and writing in your journal, or instead of sleeping until 11, whether that's pushing the plate back and going for a walk or going to the gym. Like, there's always one thing that we could do that we know we need to do better in ourselves. And if we could just take that first step, that begins to build on each other.
Do you believe that every person carries purpose?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do. I feel like they can throw it away.
Yeah.
They can forfeit it. But yeah, I believe everyone's created with a purpose for a purpose.
What role does belonging play in emotional and psychological well-being?
Well, we're meant to be connected to people. So the absence of belonging, I think, is loneliness.
Yeah. Well said.
And it's hard to find a place to belong. It's one of the emotions I assess for, is what a person's sense of belonging is. Because I don't think people think of it in that term, that word, but it is huge. And when they stop to think about, where do I fit? I never really did fit in. Where do I actually fit in? It's a deep wound for many.
Yeah. How can love and like acceptance, right? How can that change somebody who truly believes that they're unwanted?
I think it would reorient their direction.
Okay.
And I would say that belonging and acceptance has to start with us.
Okay.
Like, we got to decide where our value lies. I might have been a bank robber. I was a high school dropout. I got failed relationships. I lost my business.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a lot of struggle and failures. But I got up and kept going. And I think that we can't afford to let anything define us. We have to just stay in the game and keep going.
You are the first therapist that I've ever seen that brings psychological principles with biblical values. How did those two things, how do they go together? And how did you start that approach?
Well, I worked in suicide for one. I was a volunteer with Larry King's Suicide Task Force. So I attended the completed deaths of several people. And then as I started my practice, a lot of people have thoughts of suicide. I cannot talk about hope without talking about God. Yeah. To me, they're inseparable. And so the longer I went about my practice, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. And the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And the cognitive behavioral theory is how our thoughts affect our emotions and how our emotions affect our behavior. That seems inseparable as well. So I think also people need something to believe in, and because a lot of times they don't have anything to believe in. So I think it's just inseparable for me.
Yeah.
And it's the way my brain works. And, people sign on my release that I'm a Christian-based therapist. And so I've had atheists, I've had witches, I've had swingers, I've had kink, I've had everything you can think of. And they're all okay with the fact that I'm a Christian-based therapist. Because it's not about judgment, it's about foundation, and the foundation for me has got to be God, because that's the source of hope. That's the one that can help us when we feel like we can't help ourselves.
Well said, Kathy. What role has faith played in your journey?
Saved my life.
Wow. Okay.
Jay, I should be dead several times over.
Yeah.
I tell people I would not be living for God if God wasn't everything. It's not just a good idea. It's not just a culture that I want to belong to, because really, I didn't really want to belong to it. I wanted to go be something else. But man, God has been everything to me. And He's made every failure in my life make sense and turned it for good. And I there's no reason I should be sitting in a therapist's chair giving advice to couples or to people, when I know where I've been.
Yeah.
But that's not who I am today. That's not who I've been for a long time. And it's because God has redeemed those things in my life.
Love it. How do you help people understand the difference between just going to church, but actually staying in their faith, staying in the Word? How do you teach people how to do that?
I tell everybody that I meet, read your Bible. Read your Bible. That is the very first place to start. There is so much to be said about the Bible. It's a treasure trove to me. It's just so much treasure in that. Because church is going to fail you. People are going to fail you. You're going to look around and you're going to see whatever you want to see, right?
Oh, yeah.
But getting to know who Jesus is, knowing that He's real, knowing that He'll actually show up for you, knowing that when you talk to Him, He's listening and He actually talks back. And I can't tell you the number of times I've just been scared and weeping and not knowing how I'm going to make it in this world alone, And I literally feel the comfort of God step into my room, and everything is just okay. I might not still have the answers, but I have this sense I know He's with me, and He's proven it over and over and over to me.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you don't have to know Him, just talk to Him.
Yeah.
Just start a conversation with Him. Give him a shot. Give Him a chance. Because He's the one who leads us.
Got it.
Right? He orders our steps, and my journey's maybe not going to look like someone else's journey, but that should be between them and God.
Yeah.
And mine should be between me and God.
Well said. We're going to transition.
Yeah.
We're going to go into a lightning round. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Mountains or beach?
Oh, both.
Okay.
Both. But lately it's been the beach because I don't know, it's so unknown, but most of my life it's been the mountains.
Favorite book of all time?
Besides the Bible, I would say Brene Brown's Staring Greatly.
Okay.
And This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti.
Okay. One word that describes you.
Wow, let me think just for a second. Driven.
Okay. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Being misunderstood.
What makes you laugh every time?
Oh, Wedding Crashers.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's an out loud laugh.
Yeah, yeah. What is one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
That I'm a huge introvert and that I'm actually really sensitive.
Okay. What was your first job?
Happy Steak.
Oh, I loved Happy Steak.
14 years. I mean, I was there 5 years from 14 years old up.
Yeah. What is
Best time of my life, one of them.
Oh, yeah, I loved Happy Steak. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, man. When I think about advice I've received, I just think of Bruce McDermott, and he just told me that I had ingenuity.
Love it.
And I had to look up what that word meant. I didn't know what it meant, but it meant so much that he saw that in me. And he just really encouraged me not to give up.
What is one piece of advice you wish you could go back and give your younger self?
Stay in school and not leave God.
What is one word that you hope people use to describe you?
That I love the Lord and that I lived my best life for Him.
Who has had the greatest influence in your life?
My dad and my son and now my grandson. I learn a lot from them.
Okay. What is one lesson life has taught you the hard way?
That's only just me.
Yeah.
I got to do it.
What is something you wish more people understood about mental health?
That's not so scary. It's not so scary to just make a phone call. It's not so scary to come.
Yeah.
Everybody has trauma. If you've ever been a kid, you got something that hurt you.
Yeah.
Mental health is such a buzzword right now, but really it's just humans being humans.
Yeah.
So let's just help ourselves.
Got it. What is one thing you believe everyone needs more of?
Compassion.
Yeah.
Everybody just needs to be seen.
Got it.
And Jesus.
All right.
I got to say that, Jay.
Hey, love it. What is your favorite way to recharge?
Oh, gosh. I'm an introvert, so my favorite way is being alone. I love a good movie.
Okay. What song instantly takes you back to another time in your life?
Oh, gosh. It's got to be Careless Whisper by George Michael or...
Love that jam.
Or... what's that other one? I can't think of the other one right now, but Careless Whisper is very special.
I love that
to
song.
me.
You know what I was listening to on the way over here? And it's a band called The Cult. And there's a song that's called She Sells Sanctuary. That song brings me to high school like that. What is something that always brings you peace?
I would say prayer.
Okay.
I pray a lot. Like that's my go-to way of coping, I think, when I'm stressed or sad or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
I would say one of the philosophers, Jordan Peterson, or
I
or
love him.
Yeah, or I would, Thomas Aquinas or Aristotle, any of those old philosophers. There's some great. I mean, obviously Jesus. I'm sure that's what everybody would say, but I'd love to sit down and talk to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
What is one fear you've had to overcome?
The dark.
Okay. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Oh, man. I don't know. There's not that there's so many, but they're very different in nature. I I'm glad to be on the right side of life today.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of my son. He's an amazing kiddo, and his mom wasn't always great, And my books, I'm very proud of being an author.
Well, plus your education. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you?
I hate to say this, but success means to me to have enough money to do whatever I want when I want.
Yeah.
I want to get to the place where I can live intentionally and do things for others without worrying about having to work. Right now, work kind of gets in the way of the other things I want to accomplish in life.
What is one thing you're still working on in your own life?
Well, I'm single.
Okay.
And I'm not working on that, but it's the one place I think that's left.
You're too good of a woman to be single. You deserve somebody.
Yeah, and I want the chance to have the right relationship this time around.
When your story is finished, what do you hope people will remember most about Kathy Chastain?
That I was a good person.
Yeah.
That I was honest. That I was real.
Got it. Got an ending statement for you. As we close out this conversation, I think what stands out most about your story is that your work has never simply been about a career. It's been about people. From your work with vulnerable youth and individuals navigating addiction and trauma and difficult circumstances, to the creation of Genesis House and Last Arrow Ministries, you have consistently chosen to step toward people when others might step away. You have reminded us that our past does not have to define our future, that shame does not have to become our identity, and that our own people and ourselves, we do not have to be forgotten, and we can discover our worth and our purpose. Your story is powerful, and it reminds us that sometimes the greatest impact we have is not measured in titles or degrees or accomplishments. It's measured by the lives that we helped rebuild. Kathy, from me to you, thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your heart with us today. And most importantly, thank you for reminding us and my listeners that no matter where their story began, there is always an opportunity for redemption, restoration, and a new beginning.
Thank you, Jay. You're great.
When I read this today, I thought of you.
Thank you.
And I just want to tell you, it's a true honor for you to come on my show. You've been so supportive since I started this. It's never lost on me because from day one, since I started coming here, you've just been so supportive. Before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to say?
No, Jay, I thank you for having me. I really appreciate your class act. You always have been. I used to see you on the street and think, this guy is so nice and so friendly and so happy all the time. It was hard for me to see you like jamming people up, cuffing them up, getting in shootout. Like I couldn't reconcile the two sides of you.
Yeah.
Now obviously I can, but you're awesome and I'm really glad to know you.
I feel the same way about you. And, I wish you all the success. I'm just glad. Keep helping people, keep writing your books, keep doing your podcast. I think it's something that's needed. And from me to you, I'm a huge fan, and I just want to see you just be as successful as you want to be.
Ditto, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'll have a new guest next week. Also, make sure you guys go to iHeartRadio, 96.7, Power Talk, and 1400 AM. Check out my show. Also, I have an episode with Kathy that'll be on there as well. And I'll leave you with my quote I always leave you with. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed. See you next time.